In this week's video, guys, we are going to show you how we load and unload our truck camper on our brand new to us flatbed truck. We've never done it before, so you're going to want to come along. There might be some comic relief or who knows what. Stick around. Hello and welcome back. If it's your first time here, I'm Scott.
And I'm Allison.
And we are
Jarhead and Ginger's Journey.
We're full-time RVers. We do destination videos, tips and tricks, and all things RV. If that sounds like something you'd like, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and come along on our journeys. One of the biggest parts of loading a truck camper onto a truck is the way you tie it down into the bed itself. These are our brand new fast guns from Torque Lift. That's today's sponsor of this video. These guys are awesome. Their products, all of them that we have tried, have been excellent. We contacted them. They sent us out these fast guns, the shorter version. With our red truck, we needed the longer version because they had to go all the way down on the outside of the bed and hook up to our connections that were actually on the frame itself. These are going to go on the flatbed in a completely new way, guys. So first, what we're going to do is I'm going to take these, we're going to unbox them, we're going to see how they come, we're going to get them put together if there's any installation requirements, and then we're going to show you guys how to load the, well, how we load the truck camper. And this is going to be our first time actually loading it onto the new truck. So there should be a lot of growing pains here, guys. There's going to be a lot of good stuff that you're going to want to stick around to see, especially if you're thinking about getting a truck camper and have never actually seen one go on a truck before. So let's get started with this unboxing and we'll go from there. All right, guys, it looks like they came in pairs. Each one of these boxes is going to be a set or two of the fast guns. We did get the short version again. I believe I said that a few minutes ago. So let's see what it comes with. It starts off with the rod, the threaded rod with the hook on it. And there's the top. So there is going to be a little assembly. There's going to be a little assembly required here. So let's get this other one out and we'll see what happens. Well, here's what's in the boxes, guys. You've got the tops, all four of the short fast gun tops. You've got two sets of hardware here with instructions. And then you have the four threaded hook bolts that go into the bottom of these guys right here. They'll go in there. We're gonna go ahead and open up the hardware now and see how it all goes together. Okay, well, I finished two, so let me go ahead and show you what I've learned during that process. Here are the two that are complete. They're ready to roll. I just got to get them adjusted into the right length. And here is what we start with. There's the two tops, the two hooked thread alls, and then here is all of our hardware. We have the clips, the two end pieces that close up the fast gun, a square nut, a regular nut, lock nut, a couple of flat washers, and then two rubber O-rings. The only tools I needed for this was this hammer. That's just to tap these guys into place. 9/16, I use 9/16. I guess it doesn't matter as long as you have a closed end wrench. That's to put on here and tighten it around this nut. And then I use this guy down inside the fast gun to tap these caps into place as well. So that is it for the tools and all of that, guys. So let's get more in depth on how to put these together. So that's all the parts and pieces and even the tools that you need. It only is going to take maybe 5 minutes to put both of these together once you figure out how it all works out. And it is very simple. So let's start now. You're going to need to start one of these with the threaded rod. Threaded rod, you just push into the fast gun itself until you can see it coming up the top here. Right there, you can actually see it when it moves up into the top part of the fast gun itself. Then we'll take one of the flat nuts. It goes in there, and you want to screw this into it. You want to screw it far enough in that it leaves you enough room to get the other nut on there. The other nut basically makes it so this won't fall out. So all you really need to do is screw that other nut down enough that you have some threads coming through it. So you want this about 1 inch or 2 up from inside where the flat washer is. That's about what you're looking for as far as the flat washer goes. You want about that much distance up. Like I said, we're just going to put another nut here, and it just has to go through a thread or 2. So you don't want to go too crazy, but even if you ran it all the way down, you still have adjustment at this end. That's kind of the idea. Next step, we're going to take one of the flat washers and we're going to put it on there. This step isn't or wasn't the easiest thing to figure out. So for the flat washer, what you're going to do is put it on the threaded end, and you're just going to push it up in there. It's not the easiest thing to get to run down onto the threads, but it is doable, and it's not that hard of a deal. And that's what it looks like once you get the flat washer threaded on there. You just need to put it in there so you have enough room behind it to get the lock nut on. So that's what we're going to do next. And like I said, that lock nut only has to go 1 or 2 threads through, and then you're done. So here's the lock nut. I'm going to put it in there just like we did the other one. Now, in order to get the lock nut to hold in place while you screw this into it, you can close the handle on the fast gun, and it will actually lock it in place down below, so you can get this wrench on it. All right, so let me show you this. This will go in here like this, and you'll get it started. It doesn't start but maybe 1 or 2 threads, and then that's about as far as you can do it just by hand. So once you get it to this point, you're going to have to move this, move the whole thing upward towards there, and then see, you can grab the fast gun handle here and hold it down, and then it's going to hold, and then it will hold that nut in place so you can actually get it to thread through that lock bolt or that lock nut. The easiest way I've found to do it is grab you a box wrench, a closed end wrench. Doesn't matter as long as it can go over the threaded rod here. Put it on there and just turn it. It only takes 3 or 4 turns. There you go. So there it is. After about 3 or 4 turns, you can see there's a thread or 2 sticking out through the lock nut, and that is all it requires. It just requires to be on there. It's just holding that rod from coming all the way out the bottom, guys. Now the next thing we're going to put in here, everything goes in here. This is the business end. They call this the breech. But the next thing we're going to do is, you can see it's mobile in there pretty easily. All we're going to do is pull it so everything is down inside the fast gun body here itself. And we're going to put one of these caps on it. It just slides in there, and it's got little fins on it, and you'll go straight down in. Now, here's what I learned on this. It's really good to have a table with some gaps in it you can put this threaded rod into, because I put that the threaded rod right down in the gap in the boards. I can move this a little bit, and then I have a clear shot through this way to the top of that that plastic cap. What I'll do then is I'll take the extension with whatever size socket you can get in there. I stick it right down in there and just give it a couple of whacks. Nice little easy taps with the hammer until it seats all the way down. And then once you get that cap seated all the way, this is what it looks like. It cleans up really well. Everything else is inside the body of the fast gun there. And now you're all done except for this. This little O-ring goes on the end here, and we'll push it up to here onto the actual threads, and we'll get to why we do this here shortly. After you get it completely assembled, they have these bail clips, I guess is what you call them, and I like to keep those with the fast guns. I will run them through the hole where they belong and just close it up. This model number we're using is S9521, S9521 on the short turnbuckles. Well, there it is, guys. That's the entire setup for all 4 of the fast guns. I would say after the first one and you get that learning curve down of how you're going to do it, literally these things go together in less than 2 minutes. Some of the harder things are because you're working in such a tight little spot underneath there. It's kind of hard to get your fingers in, especially to do that little flat washer that goes in between the 2 nuts that's on the threaded rod. What I found is if you pull it down, you can turn the threaded rod a half a turn, and then you get to the other side, you could pull that side down. So if you work that threaded or that flat washer down little by little, it really helps out. And this is what they look like when it's all said and done. All 4 fast guns completely put together. And these are the only tools I needed: the instruction manual, a flat end wrench, an extension, and a small hammer. Now let's get busy with the rest of the loading of the camper. All right, guys, the truck is ready to go. As you can see, we always park it this way, but it's backed up, and we're ready to load the camper. The camper we have just about everything picked up out around it. The slides obviously are in, so it's just a normal move day as far as all of that stuff goes, guys. If you can see over here at the power pedestal, we leave the power plugged in just because we're going to use power to run the jacks, and we also used the power to pull in the slides. So we just like to use all the house power we can as long as we have it. But now that the camper's ready and we're ready to load it, let's get busy and see how it goes. To start with, once we get it all ready to go, we're going to go ahead and raise the camper with this remote here. As you can see, there's buttons on it for the jacks, each jack separately, or you can run all the jacks together if you'd like. The way the manual says to run them is to leave the nose high at all times. So we'll raise the nose 3 or 4 inches, and then we'll raise the rear, and then the nose and the rear. That's the way that you're supposed to use these Ryco Titan jacks according to the manual. Now that we have it up to right about close to at least the correct height, we put Allison inside for us. I'll get in the back. I'll start guiding her backwards, and if we have to raise, lower, or move the truck side to side, that's what we'll do. Okay, as you can see, we are above the bed rail here, but just barely. So what I'm gonna do, just so we don't end up hitting there, is I'm gonna raise just a little bit more each side, or front and back, and then we'll go ahead and put it right on there. I hope you can see this, but this is kind of what you end up with. We're about 2 inches off of the flatbed here, and I'm hoping you can see all the way up to the front of the camper. The test fit looks pretty good. I did do some measurements and moved those toolboxes so they would be centered between our tie downs. There's one of our tie downs there, and it's going to go to the bed there, and the same with the front on both the tie downs there. So the test fit and measurements look like it's going to be a success, and this is what we're really excited about. All this extra space up here in the front. This is where we're going to hopefully end up putting our bikes and anything else that we can fit in there, maybe the Traeger. Now that we have it in place on the truck, what we're going to do is lower it down the exact same way. The rear first a few inches, and then the front a few inches. Rear, front, like that. We'll walk it straight down. Once we get it to where all 4 jacks are up off of the little Lego blocks, that's when we use the retract all or bring all of the jacks up at the same time. So here it goes. Well, we found an issue. Normally when we run these jacks up, we run them all the way so that the base down here is only about a couple of inches from the top of this black part here on the jack itself. Well, with the boxes on here, we can't do that. The foot would actually hit the box. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna bring it up as far as we can to right in this area, and that's how we'll travel with it while we have the flatbed and it's still on it like this. We are adjusting the brand new torque lift fast guns now and getting it so that we can gripe the house down. What the instructions say about the fast guns is when you get them in place and you just push this down so it will hold itself in place, this hole right here should be about halfway covered before you gripe it down. Another thing, when you get it right, you move this O-ring up, and then when you gripe this down until it clicks, you should have about a 1/4 inch there between the O-ring and the fast gun itself. That's how you know that it's a strong enough hold and the spring load inside will actually work correctly. That one I didn't actually have to adjust at all. That's pretty good. It did, however, the stake pocket tie downs that we bought, they were too tall. They came clear up to here, and we didn't have enough play in the fast gun, so I'm going to have to come up with a new solution for this side. I'm not a huge fan of how they are attached down below, but for now, since it's move day, it will work. So what did I learn about or from this? Definitely do a test fit before move day. I know it's a big giant pain, and that's why we didn't do it, and we only had a day or so to go before or since we got these, but here we go. Let's see how it works.
I think that went pretty well for our first time loading it, and the one big difference for me compared to loading it on the F450 is I loved that the F450 had that nice little feature that tells you which way your steering wheel is facing and how much. Whenever you turn the wheel, it would say how many degrees you were turning it. This does not have it, and I don't know how to tell that my wheels are straight, so that is going to be an issue. Another thing that I would like to add to this, and I don't know, we hadn't even talked about this, but I've seen some people use a laser to guide for when they're backing up, so they make sure that they're lined up exactly on both sides. We do have it on a little bit more to the driver's side, just a tiny bit more than to the passenger side in this load.
Yeah, and that's probably because of the pad. We have a mat about 3/8 of an inch thick that sits underneath, and if it isn't, that's what I use to line her up as she's coming back, as you guys saw in the video there. And if that thing isn't exactly centered, you're going to be one side or the other. So that's what we ended up here. I'd say we're probably a quarter to a half an inch farther to the passenger side than we would be to the other side. But that's why you have the pad. It's there to stable you up. Plus this thing weighs 4,200 pounds. It's not going anywhere quick. And then we also have the torque lift fast guns that really gripe it down and hold it good on there. One thing I didn't care for was the way I had to put the fast guns on this time, and that is completely my fault because I didn't check them before move day. We literally just got home with them yesterday. So this is my checking them, but it's move day, so that was my fault completely. Other than that, I do want to put a board up front, so when we back in, it will actually bump against that board, and that's when we'll know that we're as far forward as we should be.
Another thing about the fast guns that I don't know if he mentioned, but they do come in other colors. So
yeah.
Our ones with our other truck, I think were black and chrome.
Yep, they were chrome.
And these are white, so it matches our white truck and white camper.